easiest thing to do is to come in here, obviously on whatever vehicle you have, get your wires unplugged. Looks like you have some rust going on right there. Get your wires unplugged from right here if your fenders are off, and then just take your hinges off right there, or unbolt them from the door. It looks like on this car, the hinges do not unbolt from the door, which is absolutely crazy to me. I'm not familiar with Fox bodies, but that is something else. So we'll be unbolting them from here with the door latch shut. So leave your door latch shut like that, unbolt it from that, and then grab your hand over here on this side, open your door handle on this side, and set the door right off the car. That's the easiest way to do this. Taking your last bolts out, okay, you're using your impact gun, and keep your knee like that on the door, because that side over there is latched in, so the latch is not going to allow that to fall out. But once you get this side off, it could technically pop out and then want to go down, destroy the latch, destroy the edge of the car, all that crap. So just keep, as you can see, this door's loose now. Keep a knee, or keep, you know, some pressure up against that door, and then scoot over here, grab it with this arm, or have a buddy help you. Grab the door handle with the other hand and unlatch it. All right, so we got our doors pulled off, and as you can see, we've got some rust. I'm gonna send the customer a message, but I don't believe we're gonna be doing nothing here. Actually, I can tell you right now that we're not gonna be doing anything because it's not that bad. We'll grind it down with a grinder, flat wheel, clean it up best we can, trying to break off some of this loose rust so it don't cut me all up, and clean it up the best we can and then move on. But I don't think he wants to put that in the budget of painting that stuff or fixing that stuff, cutting it out. All right, so it is, what day are we on? Thursday? It's Thursday morning. So car got done in the booth yesterday. We got it all in primer. Just got here this morning, took the hood out, took the front bumper out, got all that out, and we are going to move forward today with doing the doors. So the car turned out good. As a painter, I'm just itching to get on this thing and start blocking the panels, because that's when it's rewarding, when you can go over this thing and just start blocking everything. But we're gonna let this thing shrink back. That's the whole key to this. The whole key to kind of priming everything together and getting the jump is to let this thing shrink. So what that means is, as your primer dries, even though it's dry this morning, it's still continuing to dry for a couple of days. Some painters, when they do like real high-end show quality work, you'll actually prime it and then let the item sit for a good, month or two, so it can just really dry back, shrink back. So the primer just keeps shrinking and tightening up as it does that. So if you cut it now, then as it's shrinking and tightening up into the scratches and all your body work and your body filler, then that's when it's going to show, because you've went and cut it flat and you've cut it tight, and then all of a sudden, it keeps to shrink afterwards, and that's how you end up where you can see your body work. So we're gonna try to avoid that and let this stuff shrink back. It'll be in the day's Thursday. Tomorrow we're only here 8 to 5, and then Monday's Memorial Day. So we'll be closed on Monday just like everybody else. That gives this thing, let's see here, that is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It gives it 5 days to shrink back. But this morning we are going to break down these doors and get them all taken apart. I don't think I really need to go over how to take apart Fox body doors. I feel like there's probably a ton of content on YouTube on how to do that. You just got some screws, pull your panels out. But we need to break this door down as far as we can go. I got to see how the trim comes off, stuff like that. May leave the trim on, may take it off. I just kind of got to see. But we're going to get these doors broke down today, body work the doors, get them into primer, and body work the fenders and get them into primer today. That's definitely going to be today. And sand the front bumper and get it into primer today. So hopefully shooting primer on everything else at the end of the day, and just finish prepping out these last pieces today. So let's get at it. when you're taking some of this stuff apart, just like we had a issue on the front bumper, sometimes you'll have where these bolts don't want to come off. And what will happen instead is that the actual threaded part will come out of the plastic. So on these kind of older cars, on front bumpers and mirrors, all that stuff, often they have took this stud and it actually just threads in there with a coarse thread screw basically on one end. And if your bolt, like this one's really rusted, so if it's rusted all up like that, often what's going to happen is it's going to just turn out of the plastic versus the screw turning off of that. Now what I'm going to do in this situation, you can take vice grips and put it on the end down here on these threads, okay, these coarse threads, and then try to undo that. But the issue with that I don't like is that if we do, you can see how rusty this thing is that we take a chance of possibly snapping something. And you're literally taking that apart so you can put it back in here so you can put it back together. So it's kind of pointless if you stop and think about it for a second. You're like, why am I going to do that? So you just take it apart. We'll just work it. We'll be careful not to tear our fingers up or hands up on that screw sticking out, hopefully. And then when we go to put this back together, we'll probably try to put a dab of something in here in the threads, just to help it lock in for next time maybe. Or maybe actually we won't, because if you go to take it out again, then you don't want to have to deal with that nightmare either. So yeah, I think that we're just going to skip that on this application due to the rusty screw head, and we will just turn that where it turns right back into the plastic when we go to put this mirror back on. So instead of breaking anything. So I just wanted to kind of point that out in case you're struggling with yours. Got everything else taken apart. I think this is all I'm going to do. Customer gave me the go ahead if I needed to pull the wiring harness out, that I could. I wasn't sure how everything was going to break apart, and on this one we don't have to take the lock out because it's not like we're doing a fiberglass part. So on the fiberglass part, I took all that stuff out on Randy's and broke all that down because we needed to change out the screw heads and all that stuff. This door was open and closing perfect. There's no reason to take that out. We'll probably just tuck a little tape up in there before we do it. I'll try to definitely pressure wash this and brake clean this latch out. That way it's nice and clean for the owner, and then, you know, possibly put some more WD or something in it whenever we're done with the project. But I don't think there's really no reason to break any of that down on this project. The only thing that you'd be saving yourself is if you broke this down was so that you could paint all this so you don't get paint on your glass. But we're actually not going to paint all this. So this job was sold as not the same level as Randy's, to be exact. So it comes in a little less than Randy's, meaning we don't do as much. So Randy's, we painted that side and this side. This is one area that we are going to cut the corners on and save a couple bucks and a little bit of time on. And what we'll do is we will be painting from approximately here out. So normally anytime I'm doing a jam job or painting jams, and like on flip cars or anything, we never paint the insides of here, never. Like if you ever take your door panel off in your car and it's a different color behind the door panel, it's because the door was changed. So most painters do not paint behind here ever, pretty much. So we'll run tape across these lines. Always tape on your holes, that way you know, because normally a door panel clips into there and then it goes a little farther. So if you always tape across your holes, then you know that you're solid. We'll go over that whenever we paint it, but that way we don't have to take apart the handles. We don't have to do anything because everything's contained within this area that we're not painting. So that's it for this side. I believe we are going to flip the door over and then start working on the other side, doing some body work and stuff like that. Jumped the gun a little bit and went to flip the door, and I forgot that I got to get the lock out of it, and then I was going to get the door handle out of it, but I have changed my mind. So I did pull the seals out of that a minute ago. So the lock, if you ever need to take your lock out, I don't know if there's videos on YouTube about it or not. I'll show you real fast. So you go in there and release that rod where the orange clip's at. So this rod was in there like that. You just pull this little piece open right here, and then this rod will come up and out, and that disconnects the lock. Let's see here, that one down there on that end is the same way, but you'll just leave that dangling. And then it looks like this one's actually, they got smart back then, and you'll come in here. I'm gonna have to do this with the with my camera down because I can't do this one-handed, but looks like you'll pick up on this and get this slide out, and that's going to drop the lock tumbler out the other side. The door handle we're actually going to leave on, and I will figure out what I want to do with that. I'll probably just tape it up or something if it's not in that bad shape, or just rattle can freshen it up. It's put in with these looks like basically a rivet, for lack of better terms. So we're not going to mess with that. Like I said, we're trying to keep it within the budget, so we're not going to disassemble that and have to put all that back together. So I'm going to get this piece out so the lock tumbler drops out the bottom, then we'll finally flip it back to the other side. All right, so we got our door all sanded out, and basically the black spray paint, just like I said in other videos, is acting as the guide coat now. So when you spray guide coat all over everything, which is that black spackled stuff we put all over the primer, then when you sand all of it off, what's left behind is the black stuff inside where the dings are. So being this whole door was spray painted black, really thick, that's not how you would do guide coat. But it's the same thing as guide coat, because now that we have sanded all the black off, everywhere there's black left, as you can see, is an issue. So we have our work cut out for us, absolutely, on this door. So big one there. The bigger the black spot gets, the bigger the dent is outwards. Big one, big one, big one, decently big one, and then a bunch of little door dings. So this is the first door. We still got the second door to go. I'm going to go get some filler on this. We're probably going to use, we'll probably use body filler on this. It's a little cheaper than Dolphin Glaze, but this is a situation that you could use Dolphin Glaze in. I just still have another door to go and 2 fenders to go, so I don't want to be running to the paint store buying a bunch of Dolphin Glaze. So we're just going to use body filler. I'll mix a little up, go ahead and skim these out. While that's drying, I'll go ahead and sand this angle right here that I haven't got yet, and then hopefully that will be kicked off, and then I can sand that. And once I sand that, I should be able to then flip the door, wire wheel the bottom side, rust treat it, put this door to the side. It's ready for primer. I'm gonna have to do a bunch of hand sanding all up in here. So, all right, and for anybody that's wondering, these things come out super easy on these doors. They're definitely not like my Mercury Comet or the Ford Mavericks. These things are freaking cake. Your bottom one comes off first. It literally just slides off pretty much. And then the top one goes in. It has one little screw in the corner right here that screws into it, and then that one comes out last. So super easy. Glad these come off. It makes me feel 100 times better. I'd rather do the job like this, but sometimes, you know, you just can't financially do it. Like, it's just not in the budget. But in this situation, we were able to get it off, so we're good to go. I know I'm gonna have a bunch of trim stacked up, which I hate that, but it is what it is, right, y'all? So we're gonna keep getting at this. I'm about to spread some filler, and then we're gonna get this other door broke down today, baby. So this door is done. Besides wire wheeling and treating the rust on the bottom and then the rust on the other side, we took it and grinded that down. That's just surface rust, basically. It's not all the way through. Same deal with this one. It's got rust all in the bottom of it, but it's not all the way through. So we're gonna get the door panels off of this one, get this one stripped down, and then do the same process on this side. Everything out of it, and then let's see here, move on to fenders, I guess, are on the side of the booth. So let's get at it. Not gonna time lapse this. Y'all seen the first door time lapse. It's all the same way. It's nothing interesting, but I'm gonna get at it. All right, so it is now Friday morning. We're gonna try to get a couple things banged out on this video. Ed just pulled the Tahoe out. See, with the whole Tahoe crap, you gotta pull it in and out because the windows are busted out of it. So that's what's a pain in the butt about buying something like that. We'll go over all that in another video. The door yesterday, I got it all in, all the body work done on the, see here, this is the passenger door. Driver door is already body worked. So I'm gonna look over again one more time the top of this door this morning, and then we're gonna flip it over and go ahead and take care of our rust on the bottom sides, and then we're gonna get this thing in primer today.
Always lying to me. You lying so much.
We're gonna move on to the fenders and try to knock the fenders out also. So hopefully we can prime everything together. So we get these flipped over, and we'll go ahead and handle the rust situation real fast. All right, let's talk rust this morning. So we're about to treat the bottom of these doors on this Fox body, okay? This is the product we're using, okay? I'll show you it here in a second more clear. So this is what I used on my my Comet, and it works. It neutralizes the rust. It works good. The problem is, though, on cars is normally you have two pieces of metal, you know, one here and one on top of each other that's spot welded together. So if you're treating rust anywhere near two pieces of metal stacked on top of each other that is rusted, then you're only going to be able to obviously treat what metal you can physically see. So you can't open up the two pieces of metal that are stacked on top of each other and treat down between them because they're spot welded together, okay? Not without cutting the stuff out and everything. If you're gonna cut it out, you might as well go and do it right and just get rid of the rusty metal. So often, this is just gonna be like a temporary Band-Aid. Looks like we got rain moving in, meaning we need to get the Tahoe back inside. All right, sorry about that. The Tahoe project, man, in and out. No windows in it, front windows all busted out. Can't have it outside, gotta pull it back inside. So what I was saying is that you can only treat with this stuff what you can actually get to, and I'm about to show you that and explain it to you, but just keep that in mind. I treated everything in the floorboards of my Comet. My Comet had like no rust when I bought it, okay? It had two rust holes, one the size of a dime, another one the size of a quarter, that I patched up. Besides that, it had no real rust. So no rust you would normally complain about. I patched them up, treated everything with the rust stuff, and it had absolutely no rust. Everything was solid, looked amazing. It hasn't really spent much time outside at all besides this driveway to get washed, and within a year or so, if you get under the car now, you can already see little tiny rust holes coming back. And the problem is them are all where two pieces of metal are spot welded together and sandwiched together. You have to understand that rust is just like cancer in the human body, and it's just like rot in wood. So if you're a construction worker, you'll probably relate to rot, and you'll understand that if you don't cut it out all the way, then it's just going to keep spreading. So the only real way to get rid of rot in a wood is cut it out, replace all the damaged wood, and to replace it all. Same thing with metal. You've got to cut it all out and replace it to get rid of it. Cancer in the human body, you know, it just keeps spreading if it's not all 100% removed. So same thing with rust on your car. It's got to be all 100% removed if you want it to stop spreading, because it literally, the stuff grows. Let's go in here. I'm gonna flip you around. I'm gonna show you what we're treating and how I'm gonna do it. All right, so first off, this is the exact stuff that we're using. Let's see here. There is not a part number or anything, I don't believe. Nope, so just Loctite, Stender Rust Neutralizer. Converts light rust to paintable surface. So basically it's made for more of like what we're dealing with on the other side of the door. Not so much this, but there's just not really much you can do. So we're just gonna come in here just like this, and we're just gonna put it all over the rust that's there. This is gonna neutralize it and turn it black. But what I was saying is the problem with this is that there's rust between this pinch weld. So this flange right here, okay, you can see that this overlaps this one. The rust is in this panel that goes all the way over here, so all the way down to here. It's where water has sat down inside there. So we can't get to that, obviously, without skinning the door, and you're not doing that. I don't even know if they make skins for Fox bodies. I very seriously doubt they do. Maybe if you know that, comment below. I'm not skinning a door, but I am curious if they do make that kind of product for the Fox bodies. So we're just gonna coat this on really, a good fair coat all over it. This is just gonna neutralize it so that we can paint on top of it. We're still gonna put some etching primer on it, and we're still gonna sand on it. I just wanted to go ahead and get some stuff on this so it can be, starting to neutralize. But again, all this is kind of gonna do is a band-aid. It's just kind of gonna help slow down some of it in this area, so it don't come right back through. The owner definitely needs to be looking for a set of rust-free doors if he plans to keep this car until he dies, because this is not going to get him probably another 20 years. Like, he'll have rust showing back before then. So I'm gonna go ahead and do his hinges for him also, because I grinded all of them, okay, and they just had surface rust, just because the back side of your hinges are not painted from the factory hardly, and if they are, then it's very light. It's not like it's super durable paint job. So that's it. Everything else on that one is just staining from rust. We're gonna come over here to this one, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna just brush out his hinges, literally just to be nice. He would never know it. The customer would never ever know that I did this, being it's all put back on the car. But it takes me a second, and it's good karma. Do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you, right? So let me finish getting this brushed out. We'll move on to the next step. All right, so we have all of our doors brushed out on the inside, and we went ahead and done the other side, if you remember, where we grinded all that metal. So we're just gonna let these things dry out. We're gonna move on to our fenders and get them prepped, and then we hope to prime all of this stuff together. The only thing we're gonna be really priming on this one, or focusing, is literally just this bottom part. I'll get some primer over it just to help bury that rust so that it has a harder time coming back to the surface. And I might also seam seal this again, but again, everything we do, if we decide to do anything, all we're doing is just burying the rust, because it goes all the way under this flange that we cannot get to. Moving on to our fenders, on the front you have molding, and it is bolted on from the inside. I'm not sure if it's double tape or if it's double side tape from the outside yet or not, but I do know you got these nuts from the inside, and all they are is little thin fake like plastic nuts basically that go over top of the plastic studs. So the nuts themselves are metal, but the studs are plastic, and they are not double side tape from the outside. I wish they were all like this for my sake on the paint and body side, but then when I owned the car, I would probably hope they weren't. So that's all that is. If you don't know, it's just literally a plastic stud with a empty washer. It's actually hollow. It's kind of hard to tell, but that was a 13 millimeter. Took them right off, so we're going to turn them back on here so we don't lose them. If you do lose these or you're missing them, you can get them at your local parts store. They come in a variety pack. All of Randy's was basically gone when I did his car, so we went and bought him a variety pack and put the ones back on that weren't broken. So that's how you take that molding off. Of course, Ford switched and decided on this side of the fender that they were going to double side tape the molding on. Good old Ford. We're going to come in here and shave this antenna. So I'm about to show y'all what we're going to do with that. So we're going to come in here, remove this piece. We're going to get your antenna base off, and then we're going to build us a patch panel and do some welding this morning, unfortunately, even though I really don't want to pull the welder out or the grinder. I just want to do body work, but we got to do this. We got to do this delete of this antenna. Then I think everybody probably knows that your cover on your antenna just pops off with a flathead screwdriver, and then you'll come in here with a Phillips screwdriver and take all these Phillips screws out to actually remove the antenna base. So our antenna base is actually crooked. I don't know if yours will be too, or if that's just this car, but you can see right here the gap right there. Okay. So we're gonna come from the inside and we're gonna tap the metal back out, get this metal decently straight, and then we're gonna lay a patch panel on the inside just like we did the other items, and then we're gonna drill these holes a little bit bigger to start with, and we're gonna utilize these holes as spot welds since they're already here and they need to be filled anyway, and then we'll come in here and lay maybe 4 or 5 inside this circle, and then we'll skim everything over. All right, so we come in here and we got our piece welded in, our patch panel put in the bottom, put some tacks in it, closed it up, grinded it. Now we're gonna move on with our body filler. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing slicked out with some little filler, start sanding this primer fender out, throw the other fender up here, work it, also get these moldings off, and hopefully we can make primer on all 4 of these items today. Boy, that double-sided tape that's on these things from the factory ain't no joke. I just gave up on the eraser wheel and I just took the grinder to it. I said, screw it, since I'm priming all this anyway and blocking it all out, ain't no point in sitting here fighting with that eraser wheel. We're about to start sanding it, looking for any dents or dings. But again, man, that double-sided tape, man, I ain't never in my life seen nothing that strong, man. This Fox body tape is no joke. It definitely is not like modern day cars, the 3M tape. Whatever they used back then, man, I bet they stopped using that crap back then because of how much time it took to get it off for collision repairs, because it's, oh man. I'm gonna get this sanded out. All right, so it's Friday, 11 o'clock, and we're gonna have to call that a wrap. So we got that one fender done, it's ready for primer. Did not get started on the other fender. That's how long this stuff takes. Y'all don't understand until you start doing it, how freaking long some of this bodywork takes. I mean, fighting with this spray paint, I have fought with this spray paint all morning, sanding it off. It doles out your paper, it just takes forever, and then we had a couple dings to fix, you know. It's just, it takes time. So let me show you what we got. So we got all of our antenna sanded out nice and smooth. There was a ding there, we had to get, a ding here we had to get. Besides that, everything else on the fender was straight. So it's all taken back down to actual paint, or I'm assuming this purple is paint. Either way, we got all the black spray paint off of it, cleaned up the lip inside of there, got everything nice and straight. So that's it. That fender's done with the doors. So we now have 2 doors ready for primer and a fender ready for primer. The only thing we have left is that fender back there in the back of the shop and our dreaded front bumper. So front bumper is definitely the last item to do. What we're probably going to do, I think we will get these things into primer Tuesday. My Tuesday is actually going to be pretty hectic. I've got another dentist appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday afternoon. We're off Monday. So what happens when you drink a lot of soda, you get cavities. But that's part of drinking the soda. So I'm not going to get a ton done on Tuesday, but I would love to be able to get the other fender prepped out on Tuesday and then put the 2 doors and the 2 fenders in primer on Tuesday. That is the goal for Tuesday. If that happens, I'll feel pretty decent. I'd love to get started blocking on the body on Tuesday, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. So it looks like we will hopefully be sitting in primer with the 2 doors, 2 fenders for shrink back come Wednesday morning. And then hopefully we can block all day Wednesday on the car, prep all day Wednesday on the car, clean all the jams, scuff all that out, because it's going to take a full day just to get that shell ready for paint, y'all. It looks like it's not that much, but dude, you got the engine bay to do. I mean, we've got a solid full day of getting that thing ready for paint, and that's all the way down to it being washed and everything. If we can get the shell prepped out on Wednesday of next week, then that puts us, hopefully it should put us painting the shell on Thursday of next week. But then again, there goes the week. So, and then possibly Friday, and with the shell, we're gonna run the shell, the hood, the deck lid, and the bumper. Hopefully, it might be a little too much to fit in there at once, but we're at least doing the shell and probably the deck lid. Hood, we might actually just hold off on. If we could get the shell, the deck lid, and the bumper shot on Thursday, then that'd be pretty cool. And then that would put us at Friday hopefully painting these other items. But again, that's tight because that means Thursday we have to tape the car, paint the car, and block out all of these items and prep them for paint in order for these other 2 doors, 2 fenders to go into paint next Friday. And then that still leaves us no time all week for the front bumper hardly, unless we get some free time there. So we're already planned out all the way for a whole nother week, and the time is just not on my side. But you want to make sure you do it right. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to be trying to cram it in at night. I've spoke with the owner, and I don't want to give him a crappy job being out here, you know, kind of trying to throw it together at night. Randy's job turned out amazing, but there was a crap ton of just kind of rushing to get it done. He always had deadlines on, you know, where the car needed to go to somebody else for fab work or whatever. And I just had to push really hard on that one. So this one, I don't like to push that hard, because then that's when you start, stuff might start, you know, messing up, or you're just kind of rushing things. So like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will catch y'all on the next one.